Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food with Keto, with carbs nice and low, protein moderate, fats high. What do I mean by that? Well, I've definitely and recently changed up my macros. So, my macros that work for me right now, today, because tomorrow it could all change just like it did to today, my carbs are usually under 10, except on the weekends with my keto pizza, and then on Sunday, the big green egg with the 3 veggies that I have once a week. So those 2 days are higher in carbs, but usually it's under 10, very much so. Sometimes it's under 8. And that works out safely for me. It wasn't always that way, especially when I was low carb, high fat. But then I moved into total 20 carbs. I never did net. And then that lowered to like 15, 16, and then that lowered to like 10. And now I'm way down there because I'm having 60 grams Monday through Friday of the baby butter lettuce, romaine lettuce from Olivia's. It's delicious. They're these about this big. They're kind of a dark purple, eggplanty kind of color with green kind of around it and underneath leaves. They're wonderful. So I have 60 grams of those. So those keep me into having some veggies. And the rest is fats and proteins. And I've upped my protein. I used to be definitely under 40 every day. And now I allow myself all the way up to 60. And then my fats come down from sometimes as high as 140. They come all the way down to not really 110, but sometimes, but usually hovering around the 90 grams of fat. So those are my macros. I might be similar to Keto in the Chaos. I think, though, that she has a little more protein than me. But that's what I am doing. And it seems to be working for me today. It was a change that I wasn't planning on. I was very happy with what I was doing. But then the big A salads, the big bowl of leafy greens, which were anywhere from 150 grams to 175 grams of lettuces, just kind of told my tummy it was time to reduce them. And so now I'm very, very happy. So I am ketovore, kind of carnivore, and I like allowing the little more dairy into my life with the Fage yogurt and the organic cottage cheese. So it's working for me today. Thank you very much. But that's not what we're here talking about today, even though I just spent 3 minutes talking about it. Anyway, this is kind of a response to the second question, part of that few paragraph text that she sent me. And she was asking me, how do you develop the emotional muscle to get through the day without cheating or derailing or binging or just flipping that switch up on what causes what causes? And so the emotional muscle, it can take a long time. You know, the emotional muscle, if you said emotional muscle to somebody that was like new to keto or new to abstaining from grains and sugars or something like that, they'd look at you with like that vacant cow stare. Emotional muscle. Is that because you're having more protein now? No. Is that because you're supposed to have organ meats every night? No, no. The emotional muscle is up here. And I would say that in a woo-woo philosophical, counseling kind of way, emotional muscle is like a precursor to the no matter what club. It's really, flexing your muscle, tightening your muscle, strengthening your muscle to be able to handle the emotions that come right at you like that and make you run for whatever food comfort you would normally or you used to do. And we're not doing that today, right? So there's a little bit of a building up of it. It's a constant 100% vigilant awareness of the emotional muscle. finding out what triggers you. And when you do begin to learn what triggers you, then you need to begin, and I hate to say you need, I suggest you begin to learn how to handle that. For example, cookouts, that Christmas season that lasts 5 freaking months. Places where there's candy served in like free, take one, and you always did one on the way into your appointment and one on the way out of your appointment because it was there. Learning how to squint at certain things. Now in AA, they offer all kinds of ways to develop your emotional muscle. Social situations. Arrive late. Park in a place where you're not blocked in. Plan to leave early. Keep it social and not an edible moment. Because I used to look at those things as places where I would want to eat. Now I don't. So you could eat before, and so just bringing a bottled water of your choice with you, maybe make it mineral for that little extra bounce. Make it sparkling so you can do a little burpee thing, and that always helps you feel better too. I mean, at least me. Putting those salt crystals on your tongue before taking a swig of that water, you can almost leave the salt container in your car and make that the final thing. You know, stick your tongue in those salts and then follow it with some mineral water and then go in. Your bottle's been opened. You hold onto your bottle the whole time so you're safe. So that's what alcoholics are taught to do. An emotional eater or a social eater that doesn't have the skills yet, the emotional muscle yet, would bring their own and offer no apologies or reasons why. The world is weird enough now, so nobody's really paying attention to you. They will for a couple of seconds. They always want company. Know that about like drinking situations and food situations. People don't want somebody that is structured and disciplined around them. Even at home, there can be sabotagers that you live with. Yes, there can be. There are people that don't want you to get better. Why? Because they might be sucking off your guilt. And don't think that doesn't happen in loved ones' families. They could be sucking off your guilt because they know how shitty you feel after you've binged, after you've overeaten, after you've fallen off your whatever plan you had, and they know that they can attack you from behind or get away with what they're getting away with from behind. Because if you started to get your food together, and I freaking guarantee your money returned, even if you didn't send any, that you indeed, the stronger you get with your foods, whether it's tracking, weighing, measuring, whatever it is that you needed to do to get stronger about your food, if you're hearing me, then you will get stronger about the other things that you kind of let go. I've watched this with myself and my loved ones in allowing people to walk over me, take advantage of me, do things around me that I wouldn't today, that I used to then, because I had so little self-esteem and so much self-loathing and wet, soupy, just places in my life that I just didn't take care of myself, wasn't taking care of myself, and so forth. And so the better you get with your food, in my case, it would be tracking, measuring, it's not an ounce or so, it's not a portion or so, it's not one thing or so. No, it is, 3.2 ounces of that protein. It is 1 ounce weighed out, 28 grams of that item. It's not kind of sorta. It's not keeping portion distortion alive, because you're not going to get strong from that, because your eyeballs will deceive you if you're extra hungry. Trust me, I learned that one. I'm starving, as I polish off 1.5 pounds of steak, and I'm not carnivore. Or Kelly Hogan, bless her sweet little heart, because I'm ravenous instead of getting a grip on what it is that I'm doing. So the stronger you get with your food, the more stable you get with your food, the more emotionally stable you will get, the more assured you will get of your day, because that part is taken care of. And if you don't think food plays a big part in your life if you're wonky, step back or maybe read the comments below, and you will see that a lot of us, while we're wonky with our food, a lot of things are taking place that we only, if only we could get our therapist money returned to us, our thousands and thousands of dollars returned to us, because we'd go to a therapist, our food was out of whack, she wasn't even asking about food because you were so busy complaining about your mother-in-law, or a husband that abused you verbally or financially, or, some freeloader cellar dwellers that were living there for next to nothing, while you in your 60s and 70s are still working full-time to support the whole show, right? Yeah. So, if a therapist bothered to start with food, all things, I think, for me, all things come from a steady Eddie, consistent, reliable routine and ritual of getting my foods in order and then eating the way that they're laid out in the tracker. That is just what has helped me. I know a lot of you feel this is way too much, way too many details. That's why a lot of people do have the success that they do becoming a carnivore, because they aren't doing weighing and measuring and logging and tracking and all of that kind of stuff. They're just, they've got a better grip on understanding their satiation, understanding their full button, and understanding their satiety. But for somebody like me, who still likes that little variety of like the keto pizza and the veggies on Sunday, and then the 60 grams of the lettuce Monday through Friday now, it just works for me to do what I'm doing. And about 6 or 7 weeks ago, I began leaving the table feeling satiated, not full. And there is a very fine line, but once you begin to do it, you do see, I'm pushing myself away, I'm satiated. Now, I never leave a thing on my plate because my head now understands the portions that bring me satiety, because I have the same things all the time. So then I get to that satiety point, not the full, not the stuffed, not the grossed out beach whale, just so disgusted with myself place that I've been known to get, even eating healthy foods. So I push myself away at satiety, and I know what that is. I know it's like 5.5 ounces of tenderloin, the 60 grams of the baby butter romaine lettuce from Olivia's, with 50 or 60 grams of cottage cheese, depending on what's left in the container, and things like that, with the 2 tablespoons of the oil surrounding it. That's a done deal, okay? Those things work for me. Taco salad, weighed and measured before I eat it. And so I know what I'm having. Keeping it all in order is something that works for me. That is my emotional strength training or strength training of the emotional muscle. I had to put all the words were there. They just weren't in order. Couldn't you figure it out? Couldn't you? Yeah. So the emotional muscle, I think, comes from good, orderly food tracking and weighing and the measuring, in addition to the tastes, not the taste, the items, the keto-friendly items. I don't play around with my food. I don't play around with grains and carbs and keto-fying things and keto treats that you can buy in the stores and all that kind of stuff. I keep it very real. My grandmother would recognize what I'm eating. She could identify it. She might not know a newfangled piece of lettuce as opposed to romaine, but she can recognize scrambled eggs, strips of bacon, what asparagus look like, things like that. And so, and they all have pronounceable names, and they're all pretty much single item names, like butter. What does it contain? Sweet cream, sometimes with the salt, and things like that. So I keep it very, very simple, Very, very savory, though. You can still have wonderful, savory, satisfying, satiating, yummy, rich, elegant foods in your keto plan and keep it simple. You don't have to get all crazy cooking and losing yourself in Pinterest for an afternoon and things like that. Keeping it simple. And I always suggest that to new to keto people, but they're so hell-bent on recipes, and I can always tell when somebody's new to my channel, they'll say, do you have any recipes you can share with me? So you haven't been listening to me long. Yes, I can. 6 ounces of salmon and 60 ounces of organic lettuce with 2 tablespoons of oil on it and 50 grams of cottage cheese. That's my recipe. There you go. Enjoy. Put a pat of butter on the salmon. I don't think that's the recipe they're looking for. So maybe they'll find themselves someplace else with a lot more contributions to the recipe club. But I keep mine simple. It's my emotional muscle. Keeping my food simple and eating the foods that I eat and going to bed abstinent with my foods tracked for the next day. So all that power is taken out of the food and it becomes a fuel, and it can be an absolutely delicious fuel. You say that a few times, but the plan is made the night before. So when I get to the next day, it's like, that's what I'm having. I'm not going to like say, let me change this. Let me do this. I don't do that. If I've done it on a very, very rare occasion. Okay. And, yeah. And there's usually a reason for it. Like, oh, the cottage cheese went sour, so I went to the Faya yogurt. It would be something like that. It wouldn't be that, I wake up and then I start seeing what I feel like. That's just me. Might not work for you, but all the power is taken out of the food because it's in my tracker. I am safe. So I wake up the next day. I know that the good orderly tracking is in place along with the foods that match it in my fridge, ready to go, ready to launch. And I get excited because I have another abstinent day added to my time in the program, where I'm not cheating, I'm not uploading, I'm not treating, I'm not thinking of it, I'm not craving it, I'm not, let me have a bite of yours, let me have a sip of yours, it doesn't really count because it's off of your plate. I don't, no. So abstinence is the best thing you will ever taste. And you can take that one to the bank, honey. Thanks so much for watching. Emotional Muscle starts with the food. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food with Keto, wherever you land with your total carbs. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.